Hey there folks and welcome. This is a general notice where I kick off the week and in this case get into the midweek by talking about what's going on in the world of motorsport, but also by talking about what's going on with this channel. And more recently I've also included other channels in this network, the other one being Cav Sim Racing Encyclopedia, which you can find in the description section down below. So without further ado, let's get into it, start talking about what's coming up content wise. And first up on this channel, over the course of Thursday, you'll get ideally a review from Nürburgring 24. I've just finished watching that. And then a preview for World RX Hungary. Friday, I want to try and get out a review for Supercars in Hinton Valley. And then Saturday, a retrospective, because it's a year on since Beyond Rally was, I think since it was announced. So, where is it now? Where are the different entrants that we know went for it? Then on Sunday, a review for Rally Estonia. For Monday, you get the next general notice alongside NASCAR and Dover. Over in the other place, the only thing I've got planned right now is a live stream, which will be for the Motorsport UK series. That is actually tonight, so it might be happening as you're watching this video. It might have just finished. My main video for that this week was the Brown Racing Renault Twingo around the Nürburgring. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to pepper in some shorts as well, because I had a few built up for a while that I just never put out. But I also want to try and get nice spread. So some stuff is to do with current content, some stuff is to do with previous content, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to try and get back into the groove of doing some shorts over here. I don't know if it's going to be one a day, two a day, or what. But I quite like doing that, and it could be a fun little challenge to have whilst I've lots of time off work to be able to get into it a bit more. And in terms of a channel update as a result, well, I mean, the channels are doing alright. I think this channel is still performing slightly better than Cav Sim Racing Encyclopedia. But the reason for that is just because those of you who sit down and watch the content here tend to watch more of it. So, whilst I think views are lower, but watch time is actually higher when you compare apples to apples. And the reason why is the average views for long form videos is higher. I think that might be because newer channels rely on the shorts algorithm. But I don't know for certain yet. I think I do actually have to wait and see on that one. It's a bit of a method to the madness. Which, speaking of, as it goes into overdrive for the fans, takes us on to the world of motorsport. And starting off with our articles this week, Christian Horner is no longer the team principal of Red Bull. He's still employed by the company through to the end of December. But yeah, Horner is no longer the team principal. He's been replaced by Laurent Mekies, who was the team principal over at Racing Bulls. So it's Alan Permain, who was essentially a kind of deputy to Mekies at Racing Bulls, takes on the Racing Bulls team principal job himself. And yeah, it's not been entirely clear why it's happened, and it's not entirely clear the ramifications of it. There have been some other key Horner appointees who have left their posts at the same time, and even then, in some cases, it's not clear if they've been relieved of their duties like Horner has, or if they have just chosen to leave the organisation. Either way, the biggest rumour is Red Bull are doing this to try and keep Verstappen, even though Verstappen is supposedly in Sardinia with Toto Wolff. Now, I don't think that is Red Bull's thinking. I can see why people would think that, but I buy a little bit more into some of the stuff the race has talked about, and I'll link in the description below an article which also links up to the latest The Race F1 podcast. They've done two now talking about the Horner situation, amongst other things. And the kind of working theory they have is it's a branding thing. Red Bull wants a lot more control over the central branding and the central messaging and the way in which the F1 organisation presents itself. Whereas in the Mateschitz era, as they point out, there was bit more diversions. Massachusetts would intervene occasionally, but not much. The current team and the name that they throw around a lot, for example, is Minslav. Want to be a bit more hands-on with the day-to-day of the F1 team. But either way, it's all speculation. I'm sure it'll come out in different books. I'm sure it probably won't come out as much in the interviews, at least right now. But I reckon about 10 years from now, we'll probably have most of the way to the full story, at least. Which is similar when you have a look at the politics in the FIA at the moment. Because Tim Mayer, a former steward, has announced his candidacy for the FIA presidency. I haven't really talked about this on this channel yet. But yeah, we now have the rival campaign to Mohammed Ben Sulayem. And I will link Autosport's interview done by James Allen, who was a former F1 commentator, in the description as well to check out. He's running on a platform of elevating the smaller clubs and also greater transparency. Now, Ben Sulayem ran on transparency, so how effective that campaign is going to be, we'll have to wait and see. But I think there is a lot of disgruntlement between different ASNs, the different sporting bodies that vote for the FIA presidency, towards Ben Sulayem. And I think one of the things that Mayer has observed, where there is anyone but MBS and nobody except MBS cohort, the people in the middle, I don't really know where they're going to fall. I don't know what their interests are going to be. I look at it from a British perspective and I see how upset the likes of Robert Reid, former Deputy President for Sport, or David Richards, the Chairman of Motorsport UK, feel when it comes to talking about the FIA at the moment. They are not particularly impressed. There are other ASNs which are very impressed. Now, whether you want more and more power concentrated in the presidency, the overrules, overrides, vetoes, that's up to you. But as somebody with a politics degree, I've noticed that the systems, whether or not they're the most effective systems, the ones that are considered the most democratic are the ones where you have a clear separation of powers. You don't have this imperial presidency. But that's just me. One of the things I do want to talk about, and end this on a nicer note, is Juha Kankkunen, Deputy Team Principal for Toyota, returning to the WRC stages. Well, WRC stage. He will be on the Rally2 test with the Toyota GR Yaris Rally2 H2 concept. The hydrogen fuel cell powered GR Yaris Rally2 car. So he'll be running, I believe, during both runs of the Rally2 test, on the Thursday and on the Friday. And I mean, it's not the first time that Kankkunen has done some driving like this. He did something similar before for Toyota on the same Rally2 test. Now, the configuration was slightly different between what it was back then and what it is now. But it's a really good proof of concept, and something that the FIA should pay attention to ahead of the changes for WRC 27 and beyond. And I'm just going through the photos on the Dirtfish site. It is just a Rally2 car on the outside. It's on the inside where it's slightly different. Because one of the best ways they could attract more manufacturers is by having this sort of, almost like the WildRX EOT, but not in the same way. The WildRX Equality Technologies is designed almost to kind of punish the ICEs. That's why the ICEs got heavier whilst the EVs got lighter. It's why Kristofferson switched across from ICE to EV for round 2, because the EOT for round 1 punished the ICE cars, essentially. So if you get that formula right and get a bunch of different means propulsion out there. We have a really good championship on our hands. Maybe. Just maybe. A couple of dozen cars. I don't know. I'm a bit optimistic, but I think you have to be when it comes to rule changes. Anyways, those are my thoughts and feelings, folks. Let me know yours, as always, in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching and joining, and I hope to see you around soon for more. Till then, bye for now.